Hello. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy
Hi,
Friday.
happy
Hey.
Friday.
Yeah. And welcome to the Back Catalog Listening Party. My name is Mother Banjo, one of your hosts.
My name is Anthony Ihrig, the other host.
And today we have joining us from Hudson Valley in New York State, the Chapin Sisters.
Hey.
And folks are ready to party because it's been a week, a lot going on in the world, and here in Minnesota, kind of gray and rainy and cold. And I'm really excited about cozying up and listening to some music with all of you. And it looks like Alan, though, not worrying about the cold. He's in LA. So I hope you're enjoying that, Alan. Connie, hi from Richfield.
Hey, Connie.
Hello. And Chris getting started on a pre-winter Udapils brewing Belgian ale. Nice. Get ready. It's coming. Yeah. Winter is coming. And Wiley joining us from the East Coast. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to all of you out there. And
My family.
and if you're new to the show, this is a show where we invite different guest artists to revisit old records with us and answer your questions live. For us, it's a happy hour every Friday. So if you've poured a beverage or enjoying a snack, then tell us where you're tuned in from and what you're enjoying. And Anthony,
Yes.
joining us from Minneapolis, down the street from me. What are you drinking today?
A very large glass of red wine out of a box. It is 38. It's been steadily getting colder throughout the day.
I know, it's going the wrong
10 degrees
direction.
colder. Yeah, it's cold and it's rainy, but it's also beautiful right now in Minneapolis. The leaves are turning and stuff, and it's sweater and red wine season for me.
Yeah, exactly. I also tried to get wine from my box. Sadly, my box was almost empty. So I have a much smaller glass of wine, but still some of Bodo Box's finest. And the Chapin Sisters, Lily and Abigail, are you enjoying any kind of beverage or snack today?
joined you.
Oh my goodness! It's
Wow.
all right. Cheers, everyone here. We got
It's a wine Friday.
Red
Oh,
Wine
yeah.
Friday here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And if, like Ellen said, this is a conversation. It's a happy hour. So if throughout the show, if you're out there watching and you have questions for the Chapin Sisters or just comments about the music and things, feel free to throw it in the real-time chat, and we'll put it on the screen. And if you have questions, we'll try to get to all of them throughout the hour.
That's right. And I'm so excited to have both of you on the show today because A, I'm a fan of your music. That's probably the most important thing. But B, Abigail, you and I go way back.
Way, way back. It's true.
I first met you
Hi.
when you were a first year at Oberlin College. I think I was a sophomore, and we were in the same dorm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
A dorm, Fairchild.
It was also the location of the vegan food co-op as well.
That tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. Anyway, so we go way
Consisted on
back.
A lot of granola, a lot of semi-cooked lentils, and what else? What else do we eat a lot of?
Vegan pizza, right?
Vegan pizza.
Mhm.
But
That's what I had when I visited.
It's true.
Yeah.
Pizza
So-
Fridays. We would be eating pizza right now if we were there.
True. Well, it's great. It's been great over the years to sort of reconnect here and there over your music, because when I knew you weren't performing, certainly not in this capacity with your sister. So maybe one of you could start at least by talking a little bit about your musical background. I know you grew up in a musical family, so maybe give a little of background about how you fell into where you grew up and how you fell into making music, and then maybe how you started making music as a unit.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's see. So Abigail and I both, when we went to college, we were not really pursuing music, even though we were in different schools. We both had kind of left home and we were pursuing different things. But music was something that was always in our family and in our lives at home. And I think kind of going out and going away from it brought us back to it, kind of that boomerang thing, where you don't realize that that you really feel that it's missing. And I think we all did music in college in our own ways. Abigail was actually a member of Oberlin Steel, the
that's right. Yeah.
the steel drum
cool.
ensemble, and I know that was an important part of her school there. But But when we graduated college, I graduated from Wesleyan in Connecticut, but I also did a couple of years at McAllister in your area.
Hey.
Minnesota,
Yeah,
St. Paul.
our neck of the woods.
Some really good memories. But we both headed to LA right after graduation, where our siblings, we have like brother and sister who were living out there, and we just started playing shows like pretty much right off the bat. And we kind of never looked back from that.
Excellent. Wonderful. And for folks who don't know, and they might be curious, with the last name Chapin, are you related to any of those famous musical Chapins that we know?
Well, apparently Mary Chapin Carpenter is our like 11th cousin, but sometimes people tell us that we look like her, so maybe
which is funny because actually she's a distant cousin of mine on my grandmother's side.
Oh my God,
we might be related somehow. That's great.
We're making the connections here.
But yeah, our dad is Tom Chapin, and his brother was Harry Chapin, who died when I was a year and a half old and Lily was 2 weeks old. Mm-hmm. So even though we didn't know him super well, obviously, because we were babies when he died, his legacy and his music and his activism has been like a really crucial part of our journey as musicians, but also as people, and just in our family. He's an ever-present like absence, I guess, in person, and his music is a big part of our culture and our life. And his nonprofits that he started are he was very, for people who don't know, he was very involved in the fight to end hunger and food insecurity and poverty, and the organizations that he started are still going to this day, because unfortunately those are still as big issues as they ever were. But that has been a big part of our family legacy and history also. Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm so excited to dig into your music today. The Chapin Sisters, you have a bunch of releases out, but the one where you have picked to feature on today's show is an EP that came out in 2018 called Ferry Boat. And tell us where this comes in your catalog, and maybe why you chose this album.
Oh, it's not that far back. It's a few years old at this point. But when we were choosing 5 songs, it's a 5-song EP. Is it 5 or 6?
It's a 5-song EP. Yeah.
And
it's from 2017. And it's just one that it kind of came out because it was an EP. It got a little less attention than we think it deserved. It has some of our favorite songs on it. It's also pretty recent. It's a little more current to who we are as songwriters and musicians than maybe some of our earlier stuff. And we really like it, and we're still really proud of it, and haven't gotten that much time to talk about it. So.
That's awesome. That's partly why we started this, is because there's just so much great art and music that's out there that the world needs to see and or re-experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get folks some music, because I think folks are ready for that. So the first track on the EP is called Dreaming of You. Is there anything you want to say about the song before we take a listen?
Yeah. So this song was, it's the only one on the album that's not written by us. It was written by our friend Ihrig Hawk, who is an incredible multi-instrumentalist, and she plays on the record. She actually plays upright bass on the record.
And guitar on this song.
But she wrote this song for us. And that was the first time, well, it wasn't the first time anyone had done that for us, but it was the first time that we recorded a song by someone outside of our family who said, I wrote this song for you to sing, and we loved it. And we thought we were really honored. And we had done an album of Everly Brothers covers, and we'd done a lot of like Louvin Brothers songs, and it kind of fit into that kind of 2-part harmony, slightly old-timey vibe. And then just one piece of trivia about her. She's an excellent banjo player.
That's her main instrument. She's a really, really phenomenal banjo player.
And she played
the magic word here.
Yeah, exactly. You're surrounded by 2 banjo players here.
So check her out, Ihrig Hawk. Great songwriter, great performer, great banjo player.
Great person. Such a lovely
and friend.
Delightful friend.
But she played banjo in the Broadway cast of Oklahoma.
the new
Oh,
revival.
Yeah, she was the original banjo player on that. So she's on those recordings, which was nominated or maybe won a Tony.
Tony,
Yeah.
possibly a Grammy, I think both.
So she's great for
Wow.
many reasons. But yeah, she wrote this song for us.
Oh, thanks for sharing the trivia. We love that kind of stuff. Those little nuggets kind of help tell the story. And now we're going to listen to it. This is the Chapin Sisters, "Dreaming of You," here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
1, 2, 3.
Did you want to do you? Don't you hurt to? Don't you feel the same thoughts that I do? Would there, could there, should there be a part of you that is sad and blue because I wait for you? Oh, there's a whisper in the room. Oh, of a love that starts to bloom. But these words you won't choose, and my heart you refuse. Can I, should I hope that I am all you need while I wait endlessly, dreaming of you? Oh, there's a whisper in the room. Oh, of a love that starts to bloom. But these words you won't choose, and my heart you refuse. Can I, should I hope that I am all you need while I endlessly for you to feel for me? I wait endlessly, dreaming of you, dreaming of you, dreaming of you.
Oh, beautiful way to kick
So
off
nice.
the Back Catalog Listening Party today. "Dreaming of You," a song written by Hilary Hawk and recorded by the Chapin Sisters for their 2017 EP, Ferry Boat. And yeah, you're right. That really has an old-timey feel to that song. I mean, it feels like it could have been written like 60 years ago or longer, you know?
Yeah, it's perfect. It's kind of a perfect song.
Yeah.
Steve says beautiful. I agree, Steve. Now, and this one was after the Everly Brothers record?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
We
had-
did the Everly Brothers. I think it came out in 2013, so 10 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
gorgeous.
and did you grow up, since we're sort of thinking about those sort of classic, sibling harmony kind of duos, and that style of singing, did you grow up singing like the Everly Brothers and the Lubin Brothers and stuff like that, or was that something that you came to later?
Well, we have a third sister, and I mean, she's a lot older than us, but she was in college by the time we were like able to sing in harmony. So we did do a lot of two-part harmony, but we always tended towards, I mean, the Everly Brothers were like on the oldies channel still when we were in riding the school bus and listening to it. So we definitely had heard a lot of like all I have to do is dream and Kathy's Clown, and but I think we tended a lot more towards three-part harmony things like the Beatles, the Eagles, the Beach Boys. We spent a lot of time with the Beach Boys. So and I think that was just something that our ears were trained for. So when Jessica retired from our band only a couple of years after we started the band, but we'd spent a lifetime doing that three-part harmony and like thinking about it that way. And when we would listen to an Everly Brothers song, you just like automatically like write the third part in your mind. So we had to really, we were right when she left, we were offered to a tour opening and singing backgrounds for She and Him on their second album. And so we were kind of thrust into like doing duo shows before we actually knew how to be a duo. And we were like really, our minds were kind of blown by how confused we were, because we'd written all of our songs with kind of like background parts. And when you have one lead vocal and two background parts, it's like a chorus. But when it's two people, that's not really how harmonies work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had to learn how to do duets instead of I think a trio. It's like if you listen to the Andrews Sisters or something like that, you get this kind of wall of sound, you know. And we were always thinking about or you get the kind of girl group thing with the duet, like ooh la 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 backup kind of thing, which actually we did a lot of that with She and Him, with Zoe and Matt, which was really fun. But when it's just two voices, you can't instead of kind of losing yourself in the oneness of the three triad chord, or having a kind of call and response with a lead singer and backup vocalist, you kind of have a different way of thinking musically. And the only way I can describe it is it's like the sort of the omission, the choice of which notes to feature becomes more important. So some nights it would work out great, and some nights one of us would be like, okay, I'll do the melody and you do the high part, and then you do the low part and I'll do the melody, and then we realized maybe we need to jump around, but then that's crazy. So we just kind of were in this identity crisis, and it was fine. It wasn't like it wasn't going well. It was going fine, but it wasn't like we had been at a point where we felt so confident in our live show with the three of us. And then one night we were hanging out and playing old records on vinyl, and somebody put on an Everleigh record, and we did that thing where we were like singing along but like making up parts, and then one of us said to the other one, wait, stop doing that for a second and listen. Like, why does it sound perfect? Like, why does the Everleigh Brothers sound perfect with just two voices? And they do. I mean, you can totally add to it, but you don't need to. It sounds, the blend is so good and the arrangements are so good. And so we basically were just like, we should learn a couple of these songs to figure out what they're doing. And then pretty soon we were like, we should record a couple songs. And pretty soon we were like,
yeah. And then it's like, we weren't using any streaming service at the time. But so you download from iTunes, like the Everleigh Brothers 65 golden hits. Like they had so many hits. So many songs. And you're like, wow, we have so many to choose from. And we just sort of chose, I think 14.
We could have done like 10 volumes.
Like every single Everleigh Brothers song.
Yeah. And then the Louvin Brothers, you know, it's just a different style of two-part harmony. You've got Ira really high, and then this kind of almost like this Appalachian yodely kind of voice, not shape note singing, but where he throws his voice really high, and it's really different. So we did learned some of those songs too. And you know, we grew up in like the really like, I would say the 70s kind of folk rock records were in our house. There were a lot of blues records in our house. There were a lot of folk records, like early folkways records in our house. And when you're in high school, especially like, you know, in the era that we grew up, when things were not on the internet, you could either go out and spend $15 on a CD, or you could like mine your parents' old record collection. So, but we didn't have country records in our house. So we didn't have access to the Louvin Brothers or any of that old stuff. We only knew about like Garth Brooks and like this kind of like shiny,
90s. Like different. There wasn't until I think the year I graduated from high school, there wasn't a country station in New York anywhere.
And if there was one, it wouldn't have been the kind of country that we, you know, like the old classic country. So I think we're both, as we were just kind of going through life as musicians, learning about all these old songs, and it all informs what came next, so it's really good to go back down that road and spend some time with the Louvens and the Everlys and all those sibling duos.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that just because I come from a bluegrass world, and these brother duets were, predated bluegrass, like the Monroes and the Stanleys and the Louvens and stuff. And I was just curious if you also kind of went down that path, the more kind of Appalachian.
We have recently.
Bluegrass.
Yeah, we definitely went down a big Louvens rabbit hole to the point where they were going to make Ethan Hawke's production company was like right about to make a Leuven Brothers biopic right before COVID shut everything down, and we were like consultants on it. We were teaching that. We had one meeting like literally the week before lockdown where we got to teach Ethan Hawke and Alessandro Nivolo how to sing like the Leuven Brothers, which was a glorious moment.
Wow.
But then COVID and alas.
Wow. Now I'm curious. I'll keep an eye out in case that movie ever gets made, because
I hope it does.
I mean, it's based on Satan is Real, which is the
best album cover in bluegrass.
Well, best album cover. Also,
there's a book, right?
Yeah. It's a memoir. So it's a real good read. For sure.
I've heard there's some pretty amazing stories in there.
The first American musician to smash an instrument on stage with Ira Leuven with his mandolin. And he did it long before any of the rock and rollers.
That's right.
A lot.
You can't get more rock and roll than some of those old guys.
Smashing a mandolin.
Well, just before we lose this thread, just because I'm endlessly fascinated by this kind of stuff, you kind of alluded to this before about like finding your parts. And I know, especially with siblings, sometimes it's like, it's just natural. Like I know you've kind of been studying the 2-part harmony thing here for a while. What's your current process like? Do you guys actually like write this stuff out, or do you just know kind of where each one is going to land in any given song, or how does that work? What's that process like for you?
We definitely don't write it out because neither of us are like writing out anything or reading anything really. But I mean, we can read music, but that's not how we write anything out. Sometimes Lily has a very special notation for when we're recording where she like draws, like she's like, it swoops. So there's a swoop, and then it dives.
I have my own language, written language.
And I'm like, I'm trying to figure this out.
It turns a little purple and then goes a little red.
We do, in a way, write out our things. But that's usually for when we're like, we also get tasked with like recording harmonies on other people's albums fairly often. And so that's like when we're writing parts for that, that's kind of how we do it. When we were writing parts for our own thing, like the ideal would be that by the time we're recording it, we've like performed it a lot and have like worked out our parts, but that's not always the case. So it kind of depends. Like we do a little of everything. Like sometimes we write a million harmony parts and record them all and then take them all away and leave just one, or then we sing it again. Or sometimes we write something and the whole time it's been in harmony, and it just, every song kind of has its own method.
But we do have like shorthand, like we'll be like, let's try it in block harmony, or let's try, a counterpart, or let's try it where you do like a pedal note, or where you do like we'll sort of talk about it. And then we'll also say, okay, that sounded good. Let's record it on our voice notes and listen to it and see if we like it and see which one sounded better. Or maybe we'll ask whoever's in the room to listen, say, which did you like better? And then sometimes we'll listen, sometimes we'll, depending on who it is, do the opposite. No.
Nice. Well, I think we should get into some music. So to give more examples of this great harmony singing, especially because we want to get to, since it's an EP, we might be able to get to the whole album. So let's, the next track on the Ferry Boat EP is Bottle of Wine. Yeah, here. And is there anything quick you want to say about it before you take a listen?
No, I think this one, I can't really think of anything to say about it, except it's just, speaks for itself.
All right, let's give it a listen. This is the Chapin Sisters with Bottle of Wine here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
You and me and a bottle of wine.
right, the Chapin Sisters here on the back catalog listening party from their EP Ferry Boat. We heard Bottle of Wine, an original, and Alex said beautiful, rich harmonies, sounded so lush, not missing a third voice. Although I was thinking,
There
you know,
is.
I was going to say on a recording, you can add
Mhm.
more voices, and also the instrumental parts, of course.
Yeah.
Any of those parts could be voices if you wanted them to be. So when you first went into the studio to record this, do you're like, we have to put in that third part?
I think it was more like later, like, well, we could add a third part. Let's try it. And then it's hard to,
Yeah.
yeah.
But your arrangement was set for the two voices, and you had been performing it live before you recorded it.
You know what, this was right after we both have 7.5-year-old kids, and this was like when they were babies. So I'm not sure that we'd really perform this that much because we weren't playing
No,
a ton
I
of
think it was
shows.
brand new. Yeah.
I think all the songs on this.
But
were
now we
pretty
play
new.
it
We play it, yeah. We
as
do.
a two-part
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Well, Joe chimed in about the keyboard, feeling kind of spooky in some places. Nice addition. Suggests a theremin. I thought so too. I thought that keyboard added just almost another vocal part. It was really
The
really beautiful.
mellotron.
Oh, mellotron.
And I
Nice.
think that it was like a flute sound, right? It sounded, I was thinking that, I was trying to remember. And it was played by Jared Samuel. He was the one person who wasn't part of our normal. We had our friend and often collaborator Evan Taylor, who now lives in LA, but we've worked with him many times.
And he put it out on his label.
And it was on his label, Lone Taka. He was the producer, and he pulled in Jared. He and my husband Jesse Lee both played drums, and then Hillary, who we already talked about, played bass, and then Jared, who's an amazing. I mean, he's a virtuoso keyboard player. He played keyboards, organ on some things, mellotron on some things, and that was a mellotron.
Excellent.
Nice.
And Alex wanted to know, is that a record studio in your background? I don't know. So
It is.
where are you right now? We should ask. Are you at home?
I guess it's hard to move this, but we're in my house, but we have a studio at our house.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lily and Seth bought their house.
Yeah, there's a drum kit
from
there.
from a yoga teacher who was trying to use the space as a yoga studio, but it was built as a recording studio by the previous owner, and so it was like they couldn't sell the house because there was like a weird recording studio off the side of it.
Perfect for you guys.
We were
Perfect.
like, hey, that looks like a recording studio. And the realtor was like, no, I don't think it is. And we were like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good thing for us.
That's awesome.
We were trying
Love
to
that.
kind of play it down. But yeah, no, it's great. It's
It's like
right
a
off our,
soundproof room with no windows.
it's right off our list. We love it.
That's what you
Excellent.
need. I had a quick
Yeah.
question about the composition. Just, do you guys write these songs together, or do one or both of you bring it separately?
Well, that one was written by Abigail.
Yeah, mostly. We've done it all different ways, but just because our lives are busy, we both have kids, we have other business that we run together, and it ends up being like you snatch the time that you can find to write songs, and then we bring them to each other, and sometimes they're in different states of being finished. Sometimes we like reconstruct the whole thing, or sometimes we are like, yeah, that's perfect, or sometimes we change a few words. So we consider ourselves like the composers and songwriters of all of our songs, because like that's just how we are.
Mhm.
But a lot of them are more one than the other.
Mhm.
And we usually bring in.
We will bring each other usually far more song babies than we end up choosing for the project.
Mhm.
So it's like we'll have a session where we take turns playing songs for each other that we're working on, and then the other one will say, I really feel like this one, and let's focus on this one right now, or maybe these three, and then these are the things I like about it, and maybe that bridge could be different, or maybe you could these words really stood out, so emphasize that direction, and then we'll kind of both go home and work on them again and bring them back. And the ones that kind of don't get that attention from the other person, maybe are for something else, or maybe they come back again later in another form. So it's almost like when I've been in like a creative writing group or something where you like, it's not a crit, but we like kind of bring them to each other with this understanding that we're going to have constructive feedback and criticism. And then if the other person, because it's a collaborative thing, if the other person has something to add, we'll be open to it, because we know that it will become ultimately the property of the band. So it has to fit into that doorway.
Yeah, I would think as a result, because you spend so much time working on them and crafting them, that maybe the song that you started out with could end up evolving to sound pretty different, to become a Chapin. Like, do you feel like, can you tell which songs? I mean, I know you know which person started the song, but do you think other people can tell, or you're like, oh, by the end, it's a Chapin Sisters song and no one can really tell who wrote it?
I mean, I hope it's more like that people like think it's like that there's like a cohesiveness to the band. And I think that certainly when we were starting out, like we really workshopped those songs, like to the point where we all had like many words in each song and many like, and it's become, as we've just become more facile at writing songs and also have less time because we're older and we have more things in our life pulling us in different ways. Like we don't have band practice like 4 nights a week like we did when we were 20, you know, like it's just different. So we used to spend like really agonize over every single word and every single harmony part, and each verse had a slightly different harmony part and we could tell the difference and maybe no one else could. It was important to us that on verse 2 it was like a tiny bit different than on verse 1 and blah blah blah, like, and that was, it's different than it is now, just because life is different.
I mean, I think we still do all of that. It happens more intuitively now.
Yes, it definitely. And because there's only 2 of us and not 3 of us, like we can change our harmony part because it's just one person singing the harmony. When it was 2 people singing the harmony, you had to do it, or like you would discuss it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, if you just joined us for the back catalog listening party, we're talking with Lily and Abigail Chapin of the Chapin Sisters. We're revisiting their album Ferry Boat, their EP that came out in 2017, and we're enjoying tunes from it. If you like what you hear, you can buy it, not just the digital files or stream it on all the places, which you can do, but you can buy a physical copy from them, from their website, thechapinsisters.com. And I will say, all these amazing harmonies and details that they're talking about, you can hear it on the high-res files. So you might be listening on YouTube, maybe just through your phone or for your earbuds. All I can say is if you like it what it sounds like on those platforms, you're going to really love it when you get the real deal.
Yeah.
So
if nothing else, just having the stereo sound, if you're just listening through a mono source or something like that, it's really gorgeous. Where was this recorded? This particular record?
It was recorded at Studio G in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Okay. Really sounds great.
Yeah. It was actually the other thing that was really great about making this record that we really enjoyed. We recorded it in 1 day or 2 days.
2 days.
That sounds awesome.
and live. We did it all live.
Yeah.
And then there was like
there were no vocal overdubs.
There were no vocal overdubs, and there were no well, yes, because we did the third part. Like,
but there but there were no like, oh, I want to change the way I
we were all in a room with Hillary, with Jesse, Evan, and Jared, and and then we had babies who were like little 6-month-old babies
playing that toy piano.
They were playing in the room, and our mom was watching them
on the record. That's really special, you know, that you did it that way too. I mean, that really changes the vibe. You know, you get a little bit more of that organic kind of communication between instrumentalists and vocalists and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was like the week after Trump got elected. Like it was, so we had this like whole. It was just a crazy. It was a crazy moment.
Was it a couple months after?
I know it was in
really
November of 2016.
Yeah.
And we leading up to that election, as we all remember, we didn't expect Trump to get elected. So it was like a real, like I feel like the country was in like a real state of shock, and that we were too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things we love about revisiting these records is not just hearing the songs and talking about the crafting of them and the recording of them, but like that these are kind of snapshots. In fact, we were interviewing someone last weekend at the Folk Alliance Regional Midwest Conference, and he said it's kind of like looking at like a family photo album, like you get to see kind of what you were like at that time, but also, yeah, how are you? And it brings back all those feelings of
The other
like in this
characters
case,
in the
like Trump's
pictures.
getting elected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Trump's in the
exactly.
background.
Exactly.
We
So
were all like around the water cooler and the coffee maker talking about Trump and with that feeling. And I remember it was the first time we got to kind of put it aside and just
make music.
Yeah.
Well, we are so glad that you made music during that time. And we're going to jump back into the next song. And then we're going to get to your question, Joni, after this. But we want to make sure we get to as many songs as we can. This next track on the EP is called Lost. Is there anything you want to say about it?
I think maybe we can talk about it after, because I want to think about, that. We want to probably think about it, right? Yeah.
All right, well, let's give it a listen. This is the Chapin Sisters with Lost here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Maybe you lost your dream. Maybe it's lost. Oh yeah, it's lost. Oh yeah, it's lost. Oh yeah, it's lost. Maybe you were leaning in, pushing so hard, running the yards. Or maybe you were sleeping in. You didn't try. You didn't guess that there's a price to every bet. So you look out, and the world seems so strange. Are you going to cry? Dry your eyes, look beyond the clouds to the sky. So you look out, and the world seems so strange. Are you going to cry? Dry your eyes, look beyond the clouds to the sky.
The Chapin
Nice.
Sisters here on the Back Catalog Listening Party with Lost. And, beautiful instrumentation on that tune. It actually had a real sort of 70s
I
kind
was
of
going to say,
feel
I thought
to
I
it.
heard a little bit of their parents' record collection in that one.
Yeah, sneaking in. Yeah.
I was just remembering, I think Jared or Evan maybe actually ended up adding a bass part on top of Hillary's bass, because there was like that real Paul McCartney bass part at the end. That's
Yeah. And
Beautiful.
I realize we haven't asked, I mean, we know that you're both singers. We haven't asked about what instruments you play. I'm guessing I see a guitar hanging up in the background. I'm guessing there's some guitar situation with you.
Both play guitar mostly in our shows. Lily is also a banjo player.
I dabble in banjo.
Said the magic word again.
And we both can play like a little piano and a little bit like other things, a little. We dabble in other things, but she more than dabbles in banjo.
And so when you tour, when you have the option, you probably bring a couple acoustic guitars and a banjo, maybe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
exactly it.
that's our touring setup. And then we both write on piano a lot too, or at least I like lately have been writing more on piano. And then Abigail's husband plays drums, and we have all these other instruments for other people to play. And my husband also has people coming in and recording here and stuff too. So.
Excellent. Wonderful. And speaking of family, we have a question from Joni. She said, did your dad encourage a career in music or have any warnings, advice prior to jumping in? I think that's a really good question because not all musicians' parents want their kids to be musicians.
I think he's like our biggest fan.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's he's so supportive, and he just like he doesn't understand like why we would ever do anything that's not music. Like, like who cares? Like to play music, play a show, play whatever. That's I think he has so much advice. We're constantly asking him for advice about like, we have this tour offer. Is it enough? Should we do it? Is it worth it to blah, blah, blah. Like he's a very sage. He's got a lot of like, it's a constant conversation because we have so many other things going on. So he's a real sounding board for us.
When I think of his, like the sort of repetitive advice that has actually manifested into action, own your own masters was a big one.
Nice.
Own your own masters. I think we turned down some record deals at different times in our lives because we were really, really like intellectual property. You know, that made a difference for him as a working musician. A lot of people didn't, and that, you know, it didn't manifest into immediate income for us, but our grandchildren, you know. But,
in the long run, yeah, it's
you know, but there was a part of that was also just self-esteem, like, you know, this is your creative property, and then advocating for ourselves and also helping us weather those kind of ups and downs. He was really like, you know, when things would go badly, he was very good at kind of normalizing that. This is the creative life. This is what it is, you know.
There's almost a natural flow that happens.
Right. Or just like when you're starting out and you play a bad show, like I just remember that feeling being like, that's the end. Like the bad show is the worst thing that could ever happen to us.
We all have bad shows.
It's our only opportunity to ever do anything. And now, like, you know, 20 years, 15, 18 years in or whatever, you can be like, we played a bad show. That felt bad, but like the next show will be fine. And he always, you'd be like, you want to hear a bad review? Like, you got a bad review? You want to hear a really bad review?
Right.
That's great to have that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. And we got another question. We got one from Connie wanting to know about the cover art for this EP, Ferry Boat.
Well, if we make it to, I don't know how much time, we don't have a ton of time left. We have 2 more songs. If we make it to the last song, which is the title track, Ferry Boat.
And we might want to skip to it because we really like that song and it's a beautiful.
I don't know how strict the timing is.
I bet we can get to both songs.
They're both pretty short combined. They're about
we can talk about it.
Minutes,
we can talk about it now. So when my high school exchange student, Sita, who now lives in Florida, but at the when we were in high school, she lived in Geneva, Switzerland, and she's Swiss. And she came and lived with us for 6 months, and then I went and lived with her for 6 months when I was in 10th grade. She now owns a restaurant and is she's very talented in many different ways. She's an amazing musician, actually, also. But she took that photograph of us, and in our cousin, we have a family like property that our great grandfather owns, and we all sort of own it. in New Jersey, in the northwestern New Jersey. And our cousin Cheyenne found this boat. It's called the Marcrissa. It's a little rowboat, and it's on the tiny little lake that's like an illegally dammed stream that our great grandfather dammed in 1930.
Not illegal.
It's grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Literally, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
But so since the song and the EP was titled Ferry Boat, and it's about sort of I don't know, that's that we decided to take that photo at dusk on our semi-legal stream lake in northwestern New Jersey, and our high school exchange student took the picture.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, what do you say we just flip flop and get to that next, since it's top
Yeah.
of mind? Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Let's give it a listen. It's the Chapin Sisters with Ferry Boat here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
If I sang to you that song you wrote in the time our love was a ferry boat, could we go back to the beach, to the shore, and could our love exist once more? If I laid with you on the bed you made, in a life we shared, in a time you stayed, if we passed it by like we could have done, and decide to stay instead of run, could we go back to that house by the lake? And could our love decide to take? If I'm walking home and I see light, and I see that you are alone tonight, if I rang the bell like a neighbor would, and forgot those things that you did for good, could we go back to the night we first met, and through remembering forget? Could we go back to the night we first met, and through remembering forget?
All right. The Chapin Sisters with Ferry Boat, the title track to their EP, which we are revisiting today on the Back Catalog Listening Party. If you're new to the show or you just stepped in late, then we should let you know that we archive all of these shows on YouTube, and you can hear our full conversation there later. But if you like what you hear, you can throw something in the tip jar for the Chapin Sisters. They have a Venmo and a PayPal, which you can check out, and we'll make sure to put that in the chat as well. So you can do that. You can also buy this album, the physical copy, from them directly at their website. So you can do that as well and check out tour dates. And you just finished a big tour, but you have some shows celebrating your uncle, Harry Chapin, some family shows coming up on the books, and you have a couple new singles as well.
Yeah. So we're making a new album, but we both have babies, we both have older kids, and we run another business actually. And so it's been kind of, we recorded a bunch of demos, like 12 demos at once, and now we're working through them slowly to make them into finished songs, and we've been releasing them. We've released 2, we have a couple more on deck, and then we're about to go in the studio and record a few more this month. So yeah.
So you can check out new Chapin Sisters material, as well as some of this great back catalog, which we've been enjoying today on the show. at thechapinsisters.com. And we're going to get to one more song before we finish off today's show. But before we do, I want to take this opportunity to thank some of the folks that support this show and keep this show going from week to week. We started this in March of 2020, and we're now on episode
183.
183. So this is all thanks to these folks and to artists like the Chapin Sisters who are willing to join us, spend an hour away from their families and their other musical ventures to talk with their albums with us. But we want to thank Penny, Anna, Linda, Bevan, Connie, Vaughn, Alan, Chris, Alex, Becky, Galen, Maggie, Joe, Jim, Beverly, John, Fred, Tim, Sarah, David, Jocelyn, Court, Matt, Steve, Mark, Homestead, Pick and Parlor, Severin, Lynn, Mary, Many Tracks, Nikki, Joni, David, Sarah, C, CJ, Wiley, and Stephanie, and maybe you. If you want to support the show, keep the party going for another 180 something episodes or more, then you can go to patreon.com/back catalog listening party. We'll put the link in the comments as well. And we have some cool stuff coming up for our patrons. We've already sent out pint glasses to founders, pint glasses to all the folks who
I
support
guess we need
the
wine
show.
glasses next because
I know.
I realized I didn't have my back catalog pint glass with me.
Exactly. And we do Zoom after parties. We're planning a special live stream. So we have a lot of cool stuff. But mainly, you also get the inside scoop of who the next guests are on the show. So if you are interested, you can join us. And Joni, one of our patrons, thank
thanks,
you,
Joni.
She says such a lovely hour. Thank you for your time. And always thank you to our wonderful hosts. And we are so delighted to have artists like the Chapin Sisters joining us. And we have one more song from the EP, and we flipped the order a little bit. So for folks who are following along at home, but the last tune we're going to feature today is "My Heart Floated Away." Is there anything you want to say about this?
Oh, this one is kind of a departure, I would say.
I'm having a coughing fit, so it's hard for me to talk about anything.
We just had fun with this one. That's all I can say.
All right. Well, that's all we need to know because it's Friday. It's our weekly musical happy hour, and we're all here together listening to music. And I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be. So we're gonna finish off this hour with "My Heart Floated Away" by the Chapin Sisters here on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
If hearts are made to be broken, my heart is true to the plan. Just when I think that I've perished, it falls apart in my hands. Oh, it aches and it moans and it shakes. It's breaking, or is the ground falling away?
Ah, I love that. The Chapin Sisters with My Heart Floated Away. And I love that on the EP, it's followed by Ferry Boat. Seems appropriate that it kind of
Yeah.
floats right on into
Mhm.
that.
It's got
Really,
that
really
kind of
nice.
3/4 sway
Yeah.
too. I was floating away on that one.
Exactly. Really, really nice stuff. Again, that track and all the tracks we've enjoyed today have been from the Chapin Sisters 2017 EP Ferry Boat, which we've been revisiting today with
Oh.
Lily and Abigail Chapin of the Chapin Sisters. And David says, we'll be ordering the EP for sure, but the website is full of great stuff. And that's
Mhm.
true. So make sure to check it out and check out the tour dates and sign up for the email list so you can know about the new album when it's coming. And again, they have a couple new singles out, which are great. I featured them in my radio show and they're really awesome. So you'll want to check that out. And thank you, Chapin
Yes.
Sisters, for joining us, taking time away from your kids and all the stuff you have going on and powering through your cold, Abigail. So we really appreciate
Funny, it's not even a cold. It's just a cough.
which,
Just-
if you're a singer, is pretty annoying.
Well, you said you just finished a tour, right? So your body held out
Yeah.
up until
It
now.
literally like
I had the cough on the tour.
yeah, Lily had
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
have laryngitis. I just had the like I'd be singing and then suddenly I'd be like, the tickle's coming. I'm gonna cough. I'm gonna cough.
and you're trying to time it just so, right? Yeah. Well, we are so happy to have you here. If those of you out here like the episode, and we know you do because you've been saying so in the comments,
Yeah.
make sure to like it on YouTube, give it the thumbs up, and direct more bots to the Chapin Sisters. This episode will be archived there as well, so you can share with your friends. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. It's a great way of staying on top of what's happening from week to week because we do this every Friday at 4 p.m. Central, and not always with the Chapin Sisters, sadly, but with other great artists.
Yeah.
And so you
Best
can
hour
check
of the
that.
week, as far as
Best
I'm
hour.
concerned.
All we do is listen to music and talk to people about it. So
It's like old
have
times.
us on next week.
exactly.
Yeah.
We'd love it.
We'll get our
Exactly.
we'll bring our wine.
Excellent. Well, I love it. And all of you out there, thank you for joining us because this is what makes it special. It's the
Yeah.
conversation. We'd have fun no matter what listening to music, but it's the conversation about it that for us makes it really special. So
Yeah, all you folks who show up and listen together, I mean, this is really what it's about. And we appreciate all of you. And
Yes.
especially you, the Chapin Sisters. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank
until
you.
next week, we'll see
Cheers.
you here on the Back Catalog Listening Party. Cheers.